Welcome. How's everybody doing? Awesome. It's kind of late, so a lot of you might not be on live. But that's okay. I have this on my mind, and I just need to express it. Really, it's probably one of the reasons that I record the videos. I have all this input that I get from clients, from people that I talk to, from things that I learn, and I need to give it out, distribute it, circulate it. If you haven't taken my survey, gaybatista.com/survey. If you have a business, maybe you're an executive in a company, definitely fill that survey out. It will help me tremendously as I structure different ways of helping different people and be able to share more stuff with more people in more ways. That survey is the key. gaybatista.com/survey. Okay, let's get to what we're going to talk about today, which is loss aversion versus opportunity cost. So what are we talking about here? I'm playing around with a rubber band. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about a heuristical bias. A cognitive bias is just a fancy way of saying something that humans have a tendency to err on the side of, versus opportunity cost. So we're going to explain both concepts. So I wonder if these work. So loss aversion. Loss aversion basically states that we rather not lose something rather than to gain something, which is weird. If you really think about it logically, and this is why this is called a bias, a heuristical bias, because the logic behind it is really like, what is the difference between losing $1 or gaining $1? It's $1, right? But actually this is a big deal, because a mentor of a mentor explained it this way. He said, if you were a financial advisor of this person, and you knew this person had a chance at making 20 grand. So if you called them in the middle of the night, 4:30 in the morning, you call them and you're like, hey, I had to call you at this early hour because if you don't act now, you're not gonna make 20 grand. This person is going to hang up the phone and then, or yell at you and say, what is wrong with you? But if you call the same person, and again, you are a financial advisor, and you say, look, if you don't act now, you're going to lose 20 grand. That person will thank you for calling. Even though it's still 20 grand either way, because we are sort of wired to not lose something that we already have rather than potentially gaining something. So this is very important to know. The good thing about this heuristical bias is this biases of the mind. Some people call it our meat operating system, right? Our meat operating system has not had a good update in the last, several thousands of years, right? So it's going to be a little flawed, but just the awareness that fact exists, that those biases exist, can really help us to make the right decisions. Excuse me. So loss aversion states that we rather not lose something. Now, opportunity cost is not necessarily the opposite, but in this case, it is. I am juxtaposing both of them because opportunity cost basically is, what is it costing you to do what you are doing right now? Because whatever it is that you're doing right now is prohibiting you from doing everything else, okay? So this is a concept that is very easy to understand, but it's very difficult to apply, because there's always something else that you could be doing, right? And so the question is, and the reason that I'm juxtaposing these two is because in business and in life, and as you guys know, if you've been following me for a little bit, I sort of put everything together. I think of relationships, I think of love, I think of exercise, I think of diet, I think of economy, I think of business, I think of marketing as really components of this basic experience that we call life. Even if you're not in business yourself, you probably are part of a business or some kind of nonprofit or something that generates value, and you extract part of that value as a paycheck perhaps, or as a commission, or in some form so that you can sustain yourself. And it's as a way of all things. Stars, the sun is transforming 4 tons of hydrogen into helium every second, right? It's a nuclear reaction. It's a stable nuclear reaction that is happening, and it's pretty crazy. The hydrogen is the lightest of all elements, right? Right at the top left hand corner of the periodic table, and 4 tons of it is getting converted into helium. So this is pretty crazy thing, right? But even something as mighty as a star needs this energy, needs this. So we do too as humans. We need this energy. So this is why I sort of mix all those things, because those are the principles that really are not going to change and are not going away anytime soon. Now, what is going away is a lot of these ways of creating this value, of creating this energy, whether it's in your business, in your body, and in stars. Okay, so what's happening here is that you have the not wanting to lose something and not weighing it correctly versus opportunity cost versus what you could be doing. And I'll give you an example, a very practical example. This is what's on my mind, and this is why I'm making this video. So the reason that most people are in business is not a good enough reason. Maybe they inherited the business. Maybe they bought a business because it seemed like the right thing to do at the time. Maybe they thought, oh, I could make money on this. Maybe they started working for this company and they just kind of went higher and higher up, and then they ended up owning it or managing it or whatever. Okay, so you're going to have a lot of things that are not completely right with it. Okay, I've talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it again, and it's this: businesses really should start with an MTP. Jim Collins calls it the hedgehog concept, which is not exactly the same, but MTP, I like this a lot. It's massive transformative purpose, which basically translates to culture. And this really is what business really should be about. If you're in business because you thought you could make money or because it just kind of happened, then you've never really given thought to a massive transformative purpose, and then you don't really have a defined culture, in which case everything, your marketing, your messaging, your offers, everything is going to be off, and it's just going to be wrong. So when you start, how do you learn this stuff? Well, you can learn about your market, and one of the most powerful ways that you can learn about your market is through AdWords, and increasingly so through Facebook advertising. Because basically what you want is you want to realize, are you in the right business for the right reasons? Are you offering the right things? Are people interested in buying? Even, this sounds like dramatic. This sounds like the biggest thing, since sliced bread, but it's not really. I'm trying to find a market that semi-works. Even if you're a carpet cleaner, you can decide to make the world a better place through carpet cleaning. And I know it sounds like ridiculous, but it's not, because and that was just an example. I haven't really hired, somebody else has hired the carpet cleaner that comes and cleans the carpet here, but I'm sure there are things about carpet cleaning that are complicated. I'm just off the top of my head, allergies. Is that a concern that you're offering? Do you offer packages of like periodic um, carpet cleaning? Do you offer packages of a certain different styles of cleaning? I don't know. I'm sure there's 101 things that I don't know about carpet cleaning, but you get the idea. Now, if you're just a carpet cleaner and you don't want to be anything else than a carpet cleaner, then you're gonna have your work cut out for you, and you're gonna have your market being taken away by just about anybody that thinks, oh, this sounds like a great idea, I'm gonna start a carpet cleaning business. So this is very important. And so whatever your culture, whatever your offer is, okay, let me ask you this, for example, and this is when we go down the road of, instead of thinking loss aversion, instead of thinking, no, what I got, you're in this echo chamber as a business person, you say everything, that all my ideas, all the stuff, this is the right thing, and I don't need to do anything else. Before you do that, that's the easy thing, right? And if you're in this position right now, and I'm touching some of those pain points, right? And I'm sort of, grabbing you and going, does this hurt? And you're like, oh yeah, it hurts. Your thing will be to dismiss it, to just go, oh, I don't care about this. This is not for me. This doesn't apply to me. Certainly, and I call that the echo chamber, right? You are going to this thing. But what you got to consider is opportunity cost. Okay? If you're in a market that you should not be in because of competition, because it's not your calling, because this is not what you really like doing, this maybe doesn't even fit with your strengths, then this opportunity is costing you big time. It's costing you so much. And because of loss aversion, you're like, no, well, I don't want to venture out, and I don't want to try anything new, and I don't even want to know, I don't even want to hear, blah, 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 I don't hear, right? Kind of like that. And this is such a big deal because it's your life, and that is what's going away. So one of the things that we work with clients, and I was actually talking to a friend yesterday, and she was telling me, Gabe, I have a client who's expecting this and this results, but we're just in the testing phase. And so we were talking about this, and this client had been going on for 2 months, okay? And in 2 months, it's, using avenues like AdWords or like Facebook with, moderate budgets, something like $2,000 a month or something. This is just very scratching the surface on what the market it is. But this is such a powerful thing, guys. We've never had this in the history of humankind. Basically, you had an echo chamber. You had a place where you're like, I can make a business of this, and I think people will buy it. And you would go out there, and some people had the fortune of, oh yeah, people bought it, but other people didn't, right? Now you can have a completely validated business system, offer, hooks, all this stuff, at least partially, if not, almost completely validated by the market, by people. For example, how many of you have gone into AdWords and know how many monthly searches there are for your product or offering or service in your area, right? So for example, let's keep going with the carpet cleaning business. Do I know how many carpet cleaning searches there are in Google every month in my area? Do I know the volume of them? And what is my market share in that volume? How many calls am I getting, right? Like all those things. And again, most people, if I'm touching those pain points, they're gonna be like, no, I don't want to hear it. Loss aversion. I don't even want to find out but listen, things are going to keep going down that path whether you know it or not. So the best thing, and this is one of the best things that you can invest in your business, you have to, like if you're starting a restaurant, for example, it's very important to start a restaurant with really what you need is 2 years of capital, whether you're going to operate at a loss every month in and month out, you're gonna operate at a loss, and you're gonna be okay with it. But most people hear that and they go, okay, yeah, and then in their head they're really thinking, oh yeah, a couple months, by the second or third month, I should be making some money, and then they put all this pressure on the marketing team or on their staff and really, just ask any venture capitalist, they'll tell you how much. There's a metric in most startups which is called burn rate, which is literally the rate at which they're burning through the cash, and this is just what is needed. And you're going to need a lot of experimentation before you get to a place. So the cycle really is this, guys. So if I can get, this is not a good marker, maybe this one. This is the rate. So it goes like something like this. Okay? And this is the build, measure, learn cycle. Okay? So, but you start with what you need to learn. So, let me ask you this. I'm not going to go into huge depth on this, but the current offer of your company or your service or your business, how'd you come up with that? How'd you come up with how much money are you charging? Did you test that? Did you just charge that because your competition was charging that? How did they figure it out how much they were going to charge? So this is very important because, again, we come into a business, into an enterprise which is supposedly delivering some kind of value, but we haven't even gone through the real basics. A lot of times things just kind of start kind of chaotic. But again, you should not be thinking about loss aversion. You should realize, okay, I'm going to be biased towards not losing this, not losing my job, or not losing my market, but really what we should be thinking about is, what am I losing by not finding out these kinds of things? So one of the best investments that you can make in your organization would be to hire a digital marketer. And I know it sounds self-serving because it's one of the things that I do, but really you could read up on this if you want to do it yourself. Not necessarily recommended, but you can do it. Which is to find out what is the true demand of your product. What are people really interested in, as far as what will they really buy? For example, my survey, gaybautista.com/survey. Why am I announcing that in networking events, when people that I meet, in my cards? Here I have a stack of my cards. So here's my business card, right? And in the back, I have gaybautista.com/Facebook and then gaybautista.com/LinkedIn. Why am I interested in getting people sort of through those channels where I have some interaction with them? And the reason being is because I'm creating these buckets, right? So like, so I have this, I'm a digital marketing DM consultant, and so I have these buckets. Okay, this is a bucket, this is another bucket, and so on and so forth, right? And so, I sort of know what places different people go in, different types of clients, different types of people that I can help go in. But one of the worst things that I can do is assume that I know all of this layout, even if I know the market really well. And so one of the reasons I do surveys, and I advise my clients also to do surveys, to know. You create landing pages, and you can split test prices on, for example, you're a chiropractor and you have these different offerings, and you want to know if people are willing to pay this price or that price. You test it, you put it out in the market, and really do it. The most of the time, the reason that people are not doing this is because, what happens if loss aversion, right? Well, I'm going to, but like the data is so valuable, and what you stand to gain is so valuable. Even if the answer is that you should not be in that business and you should move on, That might be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, but just think about the power of finding out that, look, where I am is not where I should be. I mean, if you guys have ever been in a long time relationship that it wasn't working and you finally left, how many of you thought, man, I wish I would have stayed longer with this person? You know, I don't think so. I think most people are like, man, why did I stay so long? And it is because of loss aversion. We're like, well, what if, you know, what if I lose this, then what's going to happen? Am I going to find somebody better? Or am I going to find a better job? Am I going to have a better opportunity than what I'm doing right now? A lot of times the solution is you need to sell your business. Is your business sellable? That's a completely different video and a completely different thing, but it stands to reason and is important because it's your life, man. That you're like, you might be like, okay, I need to do this. This is important to find out what are the buckets that I have, or for example, instead of buckets, the offers that I'm gonna have. I'm learning constantly about what people really need help with, and this is again why I'm pushing like the surveys and stuff. So definitely do that. So just to wrap up, 2 things: loss aversion versus opportunity cost. You're going to be biased towards not losing, towards not, well, I'm not, for example, I can tell you, and this happens in big companies as well. If you think about Blockbuster, should have been the Netflix. They had the user base, they had the assets, they had the rights, they had the properties. They should have been. Why did they not do it? Because of loss aversion. Blockbuster thought the equation, and I'll wrap this little video up with this. Blockbuster thought, let's say Blockbuster, they thought, okay, I have 2 options. I keep doing what I'm doing, so continue. Or I create this new model with lower profits and I cannibalize my existing model. Okay? They thought this was the equation, and so I continue doing what I'm doing, making good profits, basing everything on my store, or I do this new thing, which is start sending people via mail their stuff, and then I make less money, and I'm even cannibalizing what's really bringing in the money right now. They thought this was the equation, but it's not the equation. The equation is I either do this new model, or I go out of business. Okay? And by the time they found out, by the time they try to do it, by the time, oh crap, now we have to do it. It was too late. And these cycles are going to continue inside of many industries. Probably the industries that we'll see it the last would be capital intensive commodities such as gas and oil and things like that. They're going to see this disruption, but they'll see it probably as a sort of a secondary wave. Watch solar. Have you seen the prices of solar energy dropping? And they're dropping exponentially. It's not linear, so it's going to catch a lot of people by surprise. Watch for that. So this is what's happening. And so they thought, I don't want to lose what I have. I want to continue what I have. But they didn't think about opportunity costs, which is by doing what I'm doing, by continuing, by not changing, by not adapting, by not hiring a consultant, by not hiring, I'm telling you, coaches are so important. It's crazy if you think about the best athletes in the world need coaching, and a lot of business people think, well, no, coaching, I don't need coaching, which is crazy. All right, it's crazy to think that. So very important. So they're like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to continue what I have. And not only do they want to continue what I have, but they want to have better results doing the same thing, which is, it's kind of like trying to lose weight by eating the same stuff and exercising just as much. It's not going to work. You're going to need to go out of your comfort zone to be able to make something happen. So very important to know those two. If you have a job right now, if you have a company, if you're maybe an executive in a company, think about that and realize what are some of the technologies that we should be availing ourselves. I find it mind-boggling that a lot of people, a lot of executives that I know and talk to, they don't even know what AWS is, Amazon Web Service. It's crazy. Actually, Netflix runs all their stuff through Amazon Web Services, in case you didn't know. Anyways, so just want to talk about these very important subject, loss aversion versus opportunity cost. Do not be afraid to lose. Risk it, because one of the biggest risks that you can make is not ever taking any. Okay, we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.